I was looking for popularity. Oh, okay. Hello. This is Daniel Van. I had shared about almost a month ago that I had a consultation with Mr. Dijak, former WWE superstar, about his own training school that's online and it's first of its kind. I went to the first class, my first training yesterday, and in that training, he encouraged me to learn how to paint up my face the best way I can. So that's why I'm on here today to let y'all know that becoming Asher Daniel, I'm gonna bring that back, but here's the slight change I said I'm gonna share. As I was rewatching one of my podcast episodes on YouTube last night and this morning, I noticed I noticed how it takes too long sometimes to get to my main topic, which is usually wrestling, as y'all know, because that's my favorite thing to watch, and that's what I want to. That's that's what I'm hoping to be able to do by going to this online training course with Mr. Dijak. And by the way, yeah, definitely. Even though I could become a manager and I know how to become a manager, what school to go to, I may still need um I may still need his reference to go to one in Opelousas, Louisiana, because it's either do that, which is about close to an hour away, or or go to one that's 3 hours away and wait until I have a car and I can drive. So one of those two options. Um, but becoming Asher Daniel, it's not so much about, um, like I said, I don't want to reveal too much because I know as a fan how that would take the fun away if I was a kid. So that's why I'm only going to share with y'all stories of my life on here, and I'll start off by saying this: my backstory in in wrestling, which was actually the part of the assignment he gave us for the first week of class, was what's your character name, what's your motivation, what's your backstory. So I decided, because I really like my middle name and I wanted to keep my first name, I always would call myself in video games Asher Daniels. But when I did research on the name Asher Daniels, turns out that there is a journalist in Israel called Asher Daniels. So because of that and possible gimmick infringement problems, I thought, I don't, instead of having to go through the trouble of asking Mr. Chris Daniels to use the name Daniels, because just like myself, he used his middle name first and his first name last. So just like my first name is Daniel, so is Chris's in real life. So instead of going through that, I thought, well, since they used to some people have used their first and middle names. I thought, well, why don't I just switch it, and instead of putting an S, I just put my middle name last without an S. No, my first name last without an S. So it would be Asher Daniel. Okay. So becoming Asher Daniel is about what my story has been about since I've been born up until now, and this slight change I was talking about is, I'm sorry, I don't know why. I guess because I have racing thoughts, but but earlier I had mentioned how it would take too long to talk about sports games and wrestling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still talk about sports, the playoffs and the championship games that are coming up, and baseball games. And when football starts up, I'll be talking about football games and basketball and hockey when they start up again. So even though I'm going to keep that, and actually, I've got to wait until my phone is charged. That way I can talk about those games today a little bit and spend some more time talking about it tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow afternoon, because my brother's graduating college, so I'm gonna have to wait until at least tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon to come back on here and talk to y'all. Now, the reason another thing I wanted to apologize for is I realized I was in that video I had edited the description on. I realized late that I was supposed to talk about Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, because that was the wrestling topic, or the wrestling show I decided to talk about from the past. Yes, grew up liking Nitro and all that stuff, but I always wanted to know what wrestling was like in the 80s when the Horsemen took over, so to speak. So, being the Mid Atlantic is where it all started for Ric Flair, thought I would start from the first year they put up there on Peacock. So I'm sorry for not talking about Mid Atlantic a few weeks ago like I was supposed to. So what I will do is I'll look through the Mid Atlantic shows I've already spoken about and remembered speaking about on here, and I'll talk about the next one. But what I'll do that's different is I'll talk about Raw, NAW, Dynamite, and TNA Impact videos from the week to build up to that. That way, one day will be for sports, other day will be for wrestling. Now, like I said, I don't know outside of watching Sports Center, which may be the perfect way to talk about sports from a podcast. But outside of Sports Center, I don't really know how to talk about sports news outside of talking about the playoffs and the championship games that are coming up. Matter of fact, we may be very, very close to seeing both the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals at this moment. So that's why I talk so much about those videos. Is I don't want to miss any of I didn't want to lose the videos I had without talking about them. Becoming Asher Daniel is the whole concept is thinking about stories that happened from when I was a kid until now, like I said earlier. So this will be the first thing I want to share with y'all. I may have said this before, I don't really know. But my backstory is drawn from real life. I was born with 4 blood clots in my heart. One made it to my leg, and another one made it to both of my kidneys. When I was healed by the grace of the Lord above, I was healed from the blood clot in one leg. But one of the blood clots made and in my heart, was healed from the blood clot in both my heart and in my leg. But the blood clot made it to one of my kidneys and it shriveled up and didn't regrow. So that's gonna be the backstory. The reason I can't get physical is because of not because of fear, it's because of safety. Now I will, because this is the real life aspect of my story. So I will let y'all know on here is I will start painting up my face again. I really believe that the face paint I used from Walmart, the um the paint markers, so to speak, or the crayons, I believe that was causing me to break out. I was going to try to do regular face paint and see how I do, because he suggested to do that now. Because now I wanted to do face painting because, like I explained to Mr. Dijak yesterday, I always thought that face paint, like a traditional mask that you put on and you lace up, like Mysterio and La Parka, um, Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, Tiger Mask, which was a Guerrero, several others. Oh, and let's not forget the Masked Saint. When when I would watch that, I was always like, I wonder why they put on a mask. And then one afternoon, I was watching about 2 or 3 years ago. I was watching Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, where Josh Matthews selected Scott Steiner as the tag team partner to go against Joseph Park, who resurfaced his lawyer character to represent Jeremy Borash to build up to Slammiversary. And I realized, because they showed him coming out of the bathroom with a towel, to show that because they were training together, Joe and Joseph and Jeremy, because they were training together for the match at Slammiversary, they had to share rooms together and all that stuff. So when I came out of the bathroom, I realized that's what they mean by mask. And I know that sounds um stupid, I guess, or ignorant of me to say. The truth is I just never knew what they called it a mask. I understood that, we can't see their face, but why do they call it a mask? But I noticed that that this is the real person without something covering himself. I said, wow. I knew that face paint was called a mask, but I didn't realize why it was called a mask. So that was a real big eye opener for me, that when you put on a mask or you put on a face paint, you're covering your identity. And I said, that now I understand, because that makes perfect sense. And when you wear face paint or a mask, you are adding a mystery to your character, because fans will, I don't know about fans today, but I know that a lot of fans were probably very curious to see a lot of these superstars in WCW from Mexico that wore a mask. The two men that really stand out to me the most, as far as the way the masks looked, were Ciclope and Super Calo, because Super Calo, I don't know how else to describe it, he just was so unique in how he looked that I just always wonder, why I always wear the same mask, because, Rey Mysterio would always wear, every week was a different mask for him in WCW. As a matter of fact, he used to have one mask over the mask he was wearing for his match, so that he could put that mask over a fan as a souvenir. And when I would see things like that, I would think that's interesting to me. Now, because I don't know what it is about wearing a mask, but I can only imagine how hard it is to keep from your eyes from having sweat in them. So that's why I personally would rather paint up my face, because not only does it give me something that I can do, but it challenges me in the sense of, okay, I know what I like. I know what I like to see in everyday life, and I like to see butterflies more than anything. So that's why I try to, a few times, to paint my forehead in the form of to look like a butterfly. But when I look close enough at my forehead, I realize there's some lines on my forehead, and that would probably be a better idea to paint. So I'm going to try my best to give you all the best. Don't mean to repeat myself, but I'm going to try to give y'all the best paint job I can give y'all, and I hope y'all don't get scared. I hope it doesn't scare y'all or frighten y'all. So I like to use colorful paint. To my recollection, I never got in trouble with YouTube for painting up my face, so I'm positive that this is original. Thank you, and goodbye.